Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to New Earth Consciousness. I'm Tonia, and I'm here with Dr. Tonia Winchester. And I'm so excited to have her because we're here to talk about what it takes to live a resilient and vital life. So, Tonia, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited for our conversation.
Yeah. So share with us your story of how, because you're unique in the sense that yes, you do naturopathy. You help people with holistic methods of healing the body and so forth, but you kind of discovered, I guess, through your own journey that there was a missing piece.
Yes, and you said the missing piece, which is being holistic, which is certainly part of our training as naturopathic doctors. We treat the whole person as an individual in the context of their environments. And what I was finding as a practitioner is that new patients would come and they'd have whatever health concern that they wanted to talk about. They'd bring that to the table and we'd spend an hour and a half going through their whole health history and putting this plan together for them, this new set of habits that would help them to, heal from whatever was going on. And they'd be like, sure, it sounds great. And then they'd come back for their follow-up and they'd just say, oh, eating my broccoli is so hard. And I would be like, yeah, but inside being like, what? Because you're not lifting anything heavy. There's no sweating. It's one of the easiest foods to digest when you've cooked it properly. And so I was just so confused. And this, of course, is just an example or a metaphor of all the things that ideally we do to take care of ourselves, or not even all the things, just an example of some of the things that are possible. And so I was getting very frustrated as a practitioner, burned out from this, and just starting to wonder, like, why are people finding these things so hard? And I realized it's not the decision. Oh, sorry, I misspoke. It's not the act of doing these things that's hard. It's the decision to wake up every day and do them the next day and decide that today's the day that you're going to be good enough to take care of yourself. I became fascinated with this moment in human psychology of this decision-making place, which led me on a little bit of a journey. And yes, I discovered a body of work called neurolinguistic programming, which I originally thought to be this kind of sleazy marketing set of tactics. I was like, hey, I'm going to hypnotize people to buy all my things. Like, oh, but actually it turned out to be this really potent healing modality and does a beautiful job of changing these places inside ourselves where we don't believe we're worthy, good enough, value enough to take care of ourselves. So that's what brings us here.
Wow. I can relate. I would be one of those people that's like, what's so hard about eating broccoli?
Yeah, I didn't know which side of the equation you were going to put yourself there. Okay. Yeah.
Both sides. But for me, I totally, my struggle has been, digestive issues, which I talk about openly. And it's like, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know I'm supposed to cut out sugar and wheat and dairy and not eat those things and just eat the good healthy vegetables and meats and whatever. And it's a journey. It's like the mind just doesn't want to let go of these things, which, would you call it an addiction?
Very well could be. And it's not, I want to just speak to something you said. It's a lot of people are really intelligent about what to do to take care of themselves. This is not an information problem or an education problem. This is a decision-making problem. And it is because some of these habits are habituated. They're, in a way, they could be addictions because there's a loop, right? Where a trigger happens, the behavior happens, the emotion about the behavior happens, which could be itself a trigger and set them back into the loop. Or it could be that there's a chemical drive for sugar. Sugar is one of the most addictive substances. If we're being honest, there's but it's so socially acceptable, and it's not only a food, but it's how we offer love, and it's how we have comfort, and all these things that are tied up into this. And this is when we really need to look at this holism. Like, what are the physiological, socioeconomical, behavioral, you know, escapism related factors that are driving us to have these types of behaviors.
Yeah.
It's complex. It's holistic.
Yeah, and it is complex, and sometimes when you're having physical symptoms, the connection to the emotional issue isn't always like right in front of your face. I mean, I remember a friend who she was just breaking out in this like skin rash that was terrible. It was on her face, and she went to she went to a dermatologist and got all the creams and stuff like that. And I mean, it was painful and uncomfortable, and it was affecting her self-esteem because it was on her face. And at the time, she was going through a very difficult time in her marriage, where basically it was like the marriage was basically falling apart. And she called me up one day and said, Tonia, literally the day that my husband left, like moved out, all of that went away.
Isn't that fascinating? There's so many amazing cases and stories that exist like that. Grief and skin are intertwined. In Chinese medicine, the lungs and the large intestine and the skin all help us process the emotion of grief and experiencing loss. So often when I meet a new patient for the first time and there's something skin related, I'll always check in about, have there been some sort of grief, some sort of loss, and very commonly that's true. And one of my early patients actually was covered in psoriasis, and he was a man in his mid-50s and was very dismissive when I asked him about stresses in his life. Nothing. I had a divorce, but that's in the past. And what was this crazy scenario that ended up playing out was we worked with food quite a bit to get some commonly inflammatory foods out of his diet, and things calmed down maybe 50%. We ended up doing some acupuncture, which is another part of being a naturopathic doctor. And I think it was his third acupuncture session where I put in a point on the back that's an emotional point for the lungs, like to help the emotional, climate of the lungs, which is this grief. And he just started crying. And he said, why am I crying? And I said, I think that we're helping your body release some of what happened with your divorce. And he just cried for about 20 minutes. And then he left. And then he came back. No, he didn't come back. He called on the Monday. Say, I saw him on the Friday. And he goes, I don't know what you did to me. And I was like, ooh, what did I do? And he said, as soon as I drove across town home, so 20 minutes, let's say, the rest of the lesions were gone.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
And so he just needed to have that emotional release as the final piece to let his body heal.
We just cannot continue to dismiss and undermine the role of emotions and traumas and whatever that we're carrying around. And what I love about what you're sharing, which I don't know why I just didn't realize, but of course that you would know. It seems to me that when clients come to you with a certain issue, because you have this training, whatever the symptom is that's showing up, you can say, oh, okay, there's some anger here that's present, or overstimulation, or just different things that you would pick up on that maybe well, it's kind of like, I think most people tend to think that there's no connection. I'm sure maybe some people come to you and they're like, no, just treat my psoriasis. Like, I'm not going to talk about that stuff. I'm fine. But it's clearly written all over their body. It's like, dude, you're literally waving, your body is like waving the flag saying, hello, address me. This is actually, deep core. This is maybe where it originates. Would you say that as far as like disease in the body, would you say it kind of starts out in your auric field, and as you continue to ignore it, let's say, or suppress it, it gets closer and closer and closer until it finally has to manifest itself in the physical?
I love this question, and it's a perfect opportunity to talk about what I call the formula for health, which is we need nutrients in and we need waste and toxins out. And we need this in 5 levels, but I'm only going to talk about 4. We need this biochemically. So in its most basic version, we need oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. We need this physically, and this is where the habits exist. So we need to be in nature, get rest, have the proper fuel, proper hydration. So the habits around those things. We need to have nutrients in, wastes out, toxins out emotionally, and then also mentally. And then above that is spiritually. But I'm going to leave the spiritual piece because we have a lot of control over working from the top down, which is mind, emotions, physicality, and biochemistry. So all levels are important. We can't ignore any of the levels. And when we do work higher up, there is this ripple effect that kind of cascades down throughout all the levels. That being said, I have a book called Thinking Kindly. So the person who is doing a bang up job of thinking really positive, kind, helpful, placebo thoughts for themselves, and yet they're eating McDonald's every day, like there's an incongruency there. So we need this formula of health to be true on all 4 of these levels.
Yeah. So when it comes to changing a habit, or as you say, like, I guess sort of reconfiguring the subconscious to where you're actually making the right decisions, like you're going to a cocktail party and there's you know, the pile of chocolate or whatever, and clearly you're not supposed to eat it, and you see it and you're just like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't need that anymore. Like how long does it take to get to that level of unaffectedness? Because it's one thing to be like, look at the chocolate and go like, okay, I'm on this program. My doctor told me not to touch it. Okay, I'm not going to do it. And she said, it'll take 6 months. So I'll hold out for 6 months. And then the 6 months are over. And then it's like, okay, now I can eat the chocolate again, go back to, you know what I mean? So I feel like willpower only goes so far, right? So, yeah. So can you tell us like how long does it take with NLP, which is the modality you use, to really, uproot those behaviors?
Yeah. So when I'm working with a client, we'll spend some time eliciting what are called strategies. This is how you go from external trigger to sort of internal thought process to a feeling in your body, then to a behavior that's yielding a result that isn't favorable for you. So people come with if someone says, they're anxious, they come to me because they have anxiety. That actually isn't the problem, but how they behave when they're anxious is more likely the problem in their life. So when we get these strategies that happen in a nanosecond, that plays out repetitively, as a habit, possibly as an addiction, there's going to be something that is true, that they believe to be true, I should say, that's underlying all of that, that's underneath it, that because it's true, it drives this strategy. It drives this external trigger through the thought process, through the feeling, through to the behavior. And very commonly, those things that people believe are true are things like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not lovable. And so when we can shift those stories inside and release the pain, the trauma that may be stored in the body from old emotional, even physical wounds, then the body's now ready and able to consider things differently. And so that change can actually happen quite quickly.
Hmm.
When I work with clients and do this process with them, by about hour 6 of about 12, they suddenly don't have those urges anymore. And They're seeing things that used to trigger them not triggering them anymore. And so now because that old habit is loosening up, it's less of a draw, it has less of a magnetic pull. Now they're able to stop and make different choices. And so we can come in with an intentional choice of, okay, yeah, I'm going to skip the sugar. And it's going to be easier because those underlying belief structures have shifted and new ones have been built so that they do believe that they're worthy enough or lovable enough or deserving enough to take care of themselves in that way.
Yeah. And it seems to me there's kind of like this, when you talk about that shift, when you finally get to the place where you're feeling better,
Yeah.
meaning like, oh, you mean, oh, this is who I am. This is what it feels like to be vibrant and awake and healthy. Like, yeah, why would I want that? And so then it seems to me there is a process of, yeah, like you're pointing to the part of kind of digging up, okay, well, where are the beliefs that you're holding, and then bringing in those new beliefs, and like, so it's kind of like this multi-pronged approach,
It is. Yeah. Holistic. Yes.
all of it all at once. And as you're kind of going through this like this transformation, and you pop out the other side of it, it's like, um when you get to a place where you feel so good,
Yep.
the attachments are gone. You're like, no, why would I? It's
Yeah.
very clear that you're in a more coherent
Yeah.
state, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll share when when I turned 35, I gained 35 pounds over the course of 1 year, which is a tremendous amount of rapid weight gain. And even though I know what to do, again, this is not an education or an information problem. I know how to release weight. I didn't. And it wasn't until I learned these tools in NLP and went through the process as a client and got old traumas out of my body, I realized that I was in a really intensely painful, bullying, misogynistic scenario. And my body was like, whoop, and it blew up as
Wow.
a protection mechanism. So 6 or 7 years later, still carrying all this extra weight and then getting this trauma out of my body, both childhood traumas and these more current ones from this person.
Mm-hmm.
Then my body started releasing weight. And so it's about 60 pounds gone now. That over time has just been really easy, and it's been slow, but it's been in a direction. And those types of habits that help that happen have come so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. There was something else that came up as you were speaking, and I lost it. Dang it. um, so how do you work with people one-on-one? You work, you're able to work obviously online in this work, right?
Yeah, which is great. So I can see anyone anywhere. There's a few forms of sessions that I offer. One I call Shift, which is actually a different type of work that is also very good at helping habits change. I've been blown away. I'm new to it as of this summer, and I am blown away by people's changes. And so those are usually an hour and a half sessions. Then there's another type of session called Lift, which is a way of taking a problem state, a thought, a feeling, a behavior that we want to change, and inviting that element of us to have a dialogue. And eventually you get to end up in this very deep, core, calm, meditative state. It's very powerful. We can get ourselves into that mode, and then healing happens. And then I have a longer coaching container that's 3 months, where we do a very thorough
Mhm.
sweep of anything in the past that is lingering and holding people back, reestablishing good. So taking out all the bad,
Mhm.
reestablishing whatever it is they want to experience: joy, peace, confidence, ease. And then starting to focus towards the future. What are the goals? Like, how are you actually wanting to, you know, embody these new beliefs that you have inside?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Wow, amazing. So you don't if someone wants to work with you, they don't necessarily have to have some kind of physical issue
No,
or health issue.
no.
It's really like they
Life.
wanna yeah, just life in general, like, I'm struggling with this, that, or the other thing, and I'm
Exactly. I
really
can't I can't tease out, knowing what I know and seeing what I've seen over the years as a doctor and also now this mind body healing coach. I can't tease out life and health. They're so enmeshed.
yeah,
And so when one is supported, the other is supported, and vice versa. And yeah, they're so intertwined.
yeah, and I'm glad now I remembered what I was
Okay.
saying when you said life
Perfect.
itself. I was like, it's so, health really is the true wealth. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I
Yes.
have to say that. Health is absolutely wealth. I mean, if you don't have health, you don't have you're not having a good life. I'm sorry.
Yeah, having a good life.
Not you're not enjoying life. Money's not gonna f buy you can't buy health. I'm sorry. You can't. I mean, yes, you can spend money to get the support and so on and so forth, but you have to do the work essentially. Like,
Yes.
you have to go through a process. It's not just a passive like, "Okay, give it to me." Um, yeah, I just can't stress it enough that health really is the true wealth, and that should come, I think first and foremost, in life if you're really wanting to live, be the master of your own life is to
Yeah.
really tune into your physical body, start there as the foundation, and then from there, like, you get to build out and life gets to be pretty amazing when you have that. And also, I feel like it's important to say that, that miracles can happen. I mean, we just had
Yeah.
a couple of, um, examples here of people with, serious conditions who can get healed really quickly. It doesn't have to take years, and you don't have to be struggling with, a chronic condition. And so that brings me to that issue. So chronic stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, can you speak to that? Like, what do you find when someone's got a chronic, health issue? Do you find it to be more challenging to deal with, or can it resolve just as quickly as any other kind of more acute, um, condition?
Okay. There's a lot of ideas that have come to mind, so I'm gonna just start speaking and we'll see where we end up with this. So, if the chronic illness is because of lifestyle choices, stress, nutrition or lack thereof, hydration, lack thereof, exercise, lack thereof, past traumas, etc., and it's just a question of changing these habits and behaviors, I think things can turn around quite quickly. If there's more complex things going on, like genetic
Mm,
conditions that might be part of the picture of this chronic condition, that might be a bit harder, although
mhm,
I think there's always a way of helping people feel better in whatever their kind of normal and baseline is.
mhm,
And then there's this idea in naturopathic medicine, which I think is sometimes true. I think I have enough evidence to say it's like 60% true, maybe 70. This idea for every year that you've had something, had a condition, had a disease of some kind, a symptom, for every year that you've had it, once the right proper circumstances are in place, so nutrients in, waste out on all four levels, once that's all in place, they say 1 month for every year for it to resolve. So say you've had a diabetes diagnosis for 10 years. Once all of the formula for health is being taken care of, which could take maybe 6-8 months to kind of get all those variables in place, then it would be another 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
So in the big scheme of things, that's probably not a long time. Again, and this is something that I would say is like 60%, because I see things that are quicker and I see things that take longer.
Right.
So of course there's no magic script.
No magic formula, but still, that being said, to me, in my mind, if you've been suffering with something for 10 years, and let's say on average, it takes a year.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
yeah.
Another decade with this thing, whatever it is. So, yeah, awesome. So, okay, so you have the lift sessions, you have the shift sessions, and then you have the deeper one-on-one program, which is several months, where it's the whole thing, everything, nutrition, probably lab work, I'm guessing.
So the 3-month program is just these NLP techniques, so it's not naturopathic medicine.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm only allowed to do naturopathic medicine for people in British Columbia, the province that I live in, Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'm like, how can I help more people around the world? I need to have something that is accessible, and I am not licensed, or don't have to worry about a license around.
Gotcha. Okay. Didn't know that. Dang it.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, shoot. Oh well. But regardless, I'm sure you're able to make maybe recommendations, possibly. Could you, or not at all?
I don't think so. Yeah, like if it's specific individual, take this much vitamin D, I wouldn't be able to unless they were technically a patient. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So it's just strictly these other modalities that you were speaking of, and really just going in and working with the mind.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Good to clear that up. Thank you. Awesome. Well, so people can find you at toniawinchester.com.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we sign off?
Yes. I think the take-home message of all this stuff we've been talking about is really that our bodies are so smart and clever and intelligent, and there is deep healing wisdom that exists within us. So every single person watching, listening, please know that your body knows how to heal. It can heal. It wants to. And you just need to put the right circumstances in place for that to happen.
Yeah.
So
beautiful. Yes. Let that sink in, because it's really, really true. The body is amazing. It's designed to self-heal. So give it the right stuff and everything clicks. Tonia, thank you so much for just being with me today and with our listeners and our watchers. Thank you so much. And if anybody has questions or comments, please post them. Tonia or I will get back to you. And in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your evening or day, wherever you're at.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.